This person is almost accurate. They say, if it wasn't for the blue cities, Illinois would have 2 electoral college votes. And they're close, but not entirely accurate. So there are just over 12 million people in Illinois, and just over 9.2 million of us live in the Chicagoland area. So are you counting just Chicago, or are you counting the Chicago metro area? Because the Chicago metro area is what Republicans want cut out of Illinois. And that would cause the population to go from 12.2 to about 9.2, which would put them in about roughly the 3 million people range. They would have a population about half that, a little bit less than half that of Indiana's. So if we take a look at other states with a similar population to what we would be looking at, right? You're looking at Kansas, Mississippi, somewhere in that range, maybe Arkansas. That's what we would be looking at for a population. Kansas has 6 electoral college votes, not 2, but 6. So does Mississippi. So if the Chicagoland area and all of its residents were to be cut out of the state of Illinois, they would be reduced to probably about 6 electoral college votes from their current 19. And they would lose quite a few representatives, because we have 17 obviously we have our 2 senators, and we have 17 representatives from the state of Illinois. 14 are Democrats, 3 are Republicans, and that number would get reduced tremendously because most of those representatives account for the population center that's up here, not what's downstate. Those 2 other comparable sized states that I showed, Kansas and I think it was Mississippi, they have 4 representatives apiece. So Illinois would go from 12.2 million people to 2 point something, almost 3 million people, maybe. They would go down to about 6 electoral college votes. They would have about 4 representatives in the U.S. House of Representatives. They would lose all of their revenue, well over 70%, and somewhere like 78, 77% of all the tax revenue generated for the state of Illinois comes from the Chicagoland area. Well over 78% of all the property tax revenue in the state of Illinois comes from the Chicagoland area. Something like over 80% of all the GDP generated in the state of Illinois comes from the Chicagoland area. They would lose all of that. All those representatives, all of those electoral college votes. And that's what they don't understand. They just don't like liberals. Fucking liberals. And they just bitch and moan and fucking complain about liberals when it's liberals who are keeping the fucking state up.